And coming in live from the Korbachi Izo on Palmerston Island, or Palmerston. We're here on the StarCraft 2 10th year anniversary. It is the 18th edition of ESL Open Cup Fueled by Dare. I am your host, Yaku of Yakuzaku, and with me today I have El Donkey Kong que protege el Biabong himself, Light_VIP. How we doing, Light?
Yaku, how do you come up with how do you come up with my intros? What's the process that goes on, Yaku?
Is there something relevant that day?
Donkey Kong's relevant today?
Yeah, I mean,
as I quickly make sure that the scene was switched to the out of game one, not the
yeah.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Yeah, what's up, Yaku? Yeah, you're right. I was
as much as Seagulls tries otherwise.
Yeah, you just reminded me that it's happy birthday. It's the StarCraft 2 10-year anniversary. It's pretty huge. It's great that we got a patch today. I don't know if the people watching are unaware, so there has been a patch, and
this is one of them. Yeah, and you already kind of see one of the effects of the patch coming up, but one of the other things that you may not see in the patch coming up, I'm not sure where I was going with that. In the top left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top left-hand corner of the Death Aura, we have the Reds coming out all the way from, when I think of Vivid, I think of like Tasmania, but I'm not actually sure on that. From the land of Australia, he is the creative master himself, La Piranha que something. Currently teamless, but still gonna be ripping that sweet OSC. We have Vivid.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Death Aura LE, we have the Australian Terran player representing Legacy Esports and also currently looking for a roommate. It is RunaMoK.
Did I miss something?
This morning, this morning, RunaMoK said that that they have a spare room, like he and Pro. So like Pro left.
Okay.
He and Pro.
Okay. that the cosplay might have took up too much space or something.
It's possible. But yeah. Apparently, on social media, they're looking for someone. If you're in the Melbourne area, if you're keen, if you're a gamer, I think is what they were looking for. And if you want fiber internet, they're looking for someone.
Ideally, if you're also somebody who is artistic or a makeup artist, is what I mean.
Yes. Then you can help Probe out. He's gotten new ones, right? Like,
I think so. I think I saw something about that on Twitter.
Yeah. God damn it.
It's
I'm just waiting for the moment because I don't know if you saw DreamHack was announced. I'm waiting for him to
play
have a cosplay for for DreamHack.
Playing the qualifiers in a cosplay. I'm just imagining what would be fitting for him. Because normally I'd be thinking, Diva? Yeah, that will kind of work. I think he does own the headphones somehow. But I was thinking, depending on where it's held. Because it was in Valencia or something. I mean, it's online now, but if it was offline, if it was in Valencia, he could be the Spanish Inquisition.
It's yeah, there's a lot of potential there. It's kind of weird where how Probe has come in these past couple in this year, it was this year that he was doing it. I think Ozcraft was the first big cosplay that he did. So now when COVID finishes and when we finally have offline events, everyone's gonna be what's Probe doing? People who are unaware of this scene aren't gonna be in the know of what's been transpiring here.
This is our representative.
Yep. Get used to it. And speaking of which, I mean, we were talking about him as RunaMoK is his roommate. They do, I assume, practice together quite often. And I was really excited to jump into this series because we haven't really been able to cast much of Vivid in recent weeks, or recent months even.
Yeah, I always think of Vivid, and I think, yeah, we've cast him recently, but then we actually look at when the last time we cast him, it's like that was a while ago.
Yeah.
So Vivid, for some reason, despite not really casting him that much, he's still kind of in the back of your mind at all times.
Yeah, I mean, at least for us, like Vivid, he's like a big long-time supporter. Like he's played in GPO since its inception. He's one of those players alongside Demi, right? Like he's always there, he's always competing, always doing, relatively well, and we'll see how he does against RunaMoK. As RunaMoK, he is going for, we did see earlier, that fusion core.
Yep, and I kind of tempered my expectations lately, Light, but we're on the 10th anniversary of StarCraft. It's got to be something special. I am looking at that production tab, and it's a BC. Okay.
Yeah. You're like, libs, it's gonna happen. Yeah, maybe later today, if Hut signed up, then maybe, but
he's still, it's not ESL 20 yet, so
yeah,
he's still
not
waiting
quite
there.
yet. He's waiting to come out for ESL 20. But yeah, so far pretty standard open. I say standard, but it's a 1-1-1 into BC. Meanwhile, there is that armory as well. So this BC is going to be heading across the map, supporting all of these Hellbats.
Yeah, typically without that armor coming out, you'd normally see it as a bit of a multi-prong. A BC typically warped right into the main base or one of the natural bases. That Ling almost got a scout off.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then you have the Hellions jump in from a different direction. In this case, RunaMoK is really thinking, I want to hit hard with as much as I can in one direction, and potentially try to end the game there, or at the very least do game-ending damage.
Yeah, the thing is, Vivid, he did send in an Overlord, he did scout the 1-1-1, and he did see that there was a tech lab on the starport, so he is aware of the BC potential. That's why there's a Spire coming down, but he doesn't know about the armory, and then now it's here, it's in his face.
It very much so is. Nice bit of kiting here with the Banelings, and the BC going to be providing a little bit more aerial support. The Hellbats have not been morphed yet. Here they are, and this is looking to be a bit too hot here for Vivid to deal with, but the Hellbats are starting to get pretty low.
Yeah, it looks like the Hellbats may be dealt with, and then maybe enough queens.
They were body blocked. They were looking to get the queen so that the BC would have free reign, but they were body blocked way too much. And it looks like this BC might not make it out.
Oh, it could go down. He turns away.
Two more hits is all it's gonna need. Well, hopefully the Spire units can deal with that.
Yeah, the BC just manages to escape, but a really nice hold there by Vivid. He didn't lose any drones. He only lost, the Lings and the Queens.
Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of negligible. It could have been far, far worse here for Vivid.
Yeah, definitely. I love this counterattack as well. Like the Lings, they get into the mineral line. They're going to get some SCVs as well. Really nice micro. He actually pulled away some of his Lings so he could wall in the Hellions above and go for the SCVs. So yeah, it was really nicely done so far.
Yeah, body blocking has so far at least been the real MVP for Vivid.
Yeah, definitely, and pretty interesting to see here that he went for that Spire, and despite seeing the BCs, he's not going for Corruptors, he is committing to Mutalisk instead.
Yeah, Vivid right now really just questioning how committed RunaMoK is going to be with these BCs, and trying to go more for economic damage, and if the one BC shows up, he could take it down. RunaMoK, though, he's made a couple more.
Yeah, RunaMoK, he's going full mech. He's, got Cyclones on the way. He's got Yamato on the way. And, yeah, the second BC, I think, is out as well. So, this could be a little bit problematic. And he did scan. He did see the Spire. So, he is throwing down all these missile turrets.
And not going to be out quite yet here. And there's no other anti-air aside from these BCs. This third base is not looking too long for this world. The turret is not building, but should be pretty soon.
Yeah, and despite the BCs being here and despite scouting, 6 SCVs went down. So again, Vivid, he's doing some decent damage, like some decent harassing damage. But it's going to be difficult to continue to find more damage with these Mutalisks, as we do see he isn't committing to them anymore. He is switching up into Ling Bane, Roach Ravager.
Yeah, really realizing that he is going up against that mech composition and realizing what the composition of himself that he wants to use to counter that. And you know, as you were saying, Vivid was getting quite some nice damage done, but you always have to ask yourself, where is he going to go from there? Because it's not enough to just get a couple of SCVs. Nice damage in the wood mine there. Not going to be enough to get rid of Mutalisk, but honestly, Vivid's just trying to get rid of him.
Honestly, I love the reactions there from Vivid, because he spotted that tracking from the first Widowmine shot, and he immediately split up his Mutalisk. So even though 2 shots went off, only like 1 or 2 Mutalisks went down. So nicely done there. Meanwhile, the Mutalisks are coming back home to deal with these BCs. Oh!
Yeah, and between the Corruptors and the Queens and the Mutalisks, they do have to teleport away there.
It's on 1 health. That BC got away on 1 health. Jesus Christ. Oh my god, it was so close to going down, as now it's getting repaired. Like the clutch teleport.
Yeah, and you really do have to time that, don't you?
Yeah.
It's no longer that patch in mid 2018.
Yeah, and again, so RunaMoK, he's been trading really well. He hasn't lost a single BC yet, just losing, all those Hellbats, which is just minerals, really. And now he's ramping up into this Ferrari mech style. I'm just a little bit concerned for Vivid. Like, eventually he needs to get, like, what's the word? Infestors. He needs to get Infestors out. Like, he's working on the Infestation Pit, but it's still quite a ways away.
Oh yeah, I'm very worried for Vivid here. We have seen in the past, meching Terran players, when they go for this sort of style, 3 bases is not ideal, but it is just about what they need before building up a strong army to potentially counter the Zerg.
Yeah, definitely, and it looks like, Vivid will be able to snipe one of the BCs, so nicely done there, but there's already another one here for RunaMoK, and continuing to make more BCs, actually. Oh god, the Mutalisk!
Yeah, caught between a BC and a Cyclone place there. And
that's not where you want to be.
Yeah, and it's kind of surprising that Vivid has decided to kind of give up the map control to RunaMoK. Now, to be fair, neither player are really trying to be too active on the map. I think they're both just trying to build up their armies at the moment. But it kind of seemed like Vivid had that map control for quite a while, and didn't really lose it so much as kind of stopped building into it, right? He stopped making these Mutalisks, he stopped sending in run-bys.
Yeah, instead he's focusing on that main army composition that he really wants, and, it looks like he may be able to get a base kill here as the army of RunaMoK is a little bit out of position.
But Vivid's not quite targeting it. He is going super greedy right now, Vivid is. He's trying to dismantle the army of Vivid, and I'm not quite sure if that was the right call here.
Oh my god, basically everything from Vivid is going to go down, and yeah, he could have gone for the base. I do think that he would have been able to kill the base, but instead he saw all these tanks exposed, decided to go for them, and in the process lost his entire army.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a questionable judgment, to say the least. But, Vivid, he is the piranha. He smells blood in the water. He's got to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I love how active he's being with these Mutalisks. Like, he's still fighting damage here and there, but again, he lost a lot of army for, I was just checking, he was able to snipe 3 tanks in total, and that's not really worth. Your
sauce tab is gonna tell you a bit of a story.
Oh boy, Jesus Christ.
Not sure if it's a complete story, but that's where the meat of the story is.
Yeah, and now RunaMoK is pushing out. To be fair, like there aren't really many tanks to support this army, which is nice, but at the same time, like it's still there's a lot of potential here with this mech army.
It definitely is. It is really fast. It hits really hard, and even if these Veiling Smash hit, a lot of these units are armored. They're gonna be able to tank in quite a bit of damage there if they don't snipe the Zerg units.
And I'm noticing it now, even though the Infestation Pit was done quite some time ago, Hive is still, like, not complete. It was started quite late, so we aren't going to be getting any of those units, either Vipers, anytime soon. So, yeah, Vivid, he kind of has to wait and buy time for those units.
And I'm not sure RunaMoK is looking to give him that time. He is right outside his doorstep. So a lot of Queens start to go down. Not sure where that teleport was. Towards? Was that towards home?
Yeah, I think he just went home.
Oh no, just repositioning themselves to the main army.
Yeah.
So a couple of flecks on the mini-map, and I thought, oh, RunaMoK's going into the main. Now my monitor's just dirty.
So RunaMoK, he has like this really nice secure position here outside the fourth base of Vivid, and Vivid, you know, he's trying to like, you know, approach this, trying to find an angle here, really buying time because we do see pathogen glances on the way for those infestors. Like fungals do so well against the Cyclone Hellion because they can actually lock them down, so the ground army for Vivid can actually fight. But yeah, it just takes a while to get there, and oh, nice pick off.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a start.
Oh.
RunaMoK did actually bring his entire army home. I thought for a second it might have been he might have just decided to reposition somewhere, but no, it looks like he did. He was looking to deal with those corruptors.
Yeah, and the Cyclones were forced back, so all the tanks got taken out, but at the same time, all the Corruptors got sniped by the Cyclones, so both players kind of trading blows there. RunaMoK losing a majority of his tanks, but Vivid lost all of his anti-air. Again, I don't know if that was the best trade for the Zerg player.
I definitely don't think it was. When you have this many BCs in the air and your neural parasite is nowhere near complete, this is giving the Terran player so much free reign. And
Yeah,
RunaMoK's gonna utilize that.
Yeah, he's now pushing into the fourth base of Vivid, and Vivid, he has a decent amount of Ravagers, a couple of Corruptors coming out as well, but I don't know, like, there's just so much mech here.
Is a heck of a lot of it. The Corruptors are now out, but honestly, the BCs, they're starting to get thinned out, but Corruptors aren't going to do much against this ground army, are they?
Yeah, not much at all, and the BCs, they're still alive, that's the problem. Like, there's so many of them are at such low health, but the hatchery does go down. Meanwhile, Vivid, I like that he's explained to the right-hand side, even has a bunch of static defense, but again, though, what shoots up?
Must shoot down. He's got a queen here and some corrosive biles. Can we call the corrosive bile Newton Satire? GG is called RunaMoK. They're going to take game number 1 of this best of 3.
GG.
G to the G.
Yeah, and
display there coming out from RunaMoK.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't think Vivid played it too. Like, I feel like he didn't play it too poorly. Like, I loved his Moonless control and his counterattacks. But yeah, a couple of times we just saw him like trade questionably. Where he had like a decent supply, but like yeah, he would just, you know, the mech army would just be more efficient. And he would just lose so much in the process.
Yeah. I think you kind of said it perfectly there, right? It can be pretty hard to trade efficiently in that scenario.
Yeah, I feel him as a fellow Zerg player. I'm playing against mech. Like I understand your pain. Like it's rough.
And as a fellow Terran player who just has never figured out how to play mech, I feel your pain. Well, I'm feeling pain, but I'm not sure if it's your pain.
I do think that like Vivid, he knew what he wanted in the end, but he never got there, or it took him a long time to. Like he got an infestation pit pretty early on, and at the end of the game we saw him getting infestor upgrades, but he never got any infestors, right? Towards the end he was finally getting hive, but he never got any vipers. Like you really do need those spellcaster units to try to deal with mech.
I think RunaMoK successfully shook of him.
Yeah.
RunaMoK really a little spooked and was kind of forced to make a lot of more Corruptors and a lot more Roach Ravager. Yeah.
This is another reason why I was really curious to see how this series would play out, because last week, if you remember, we casted Oreo versus RunaMoK, and I kind of wanted to see how Vivid would compare.
Against Oreo?
Well, against RunaMoK, like
right.
Vivid to how Oreo played, for example.
They get a bit of dichotomy. And speaking of how they compare, we are now here onto Everdream LE EDLE Edle. We're in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. We have a Red Zerg coming out all the way from the land of Australia. He is the man who will dab for 2k channel points. Finding out this information from a chat here. So everybody pool your money together. We can make him do the infinite one. Representing OSC Elite, but currently teamless. So, you know, team owners, phone call. The creative master himself, he is Vivid.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Everdream LE, we have the Australian Terran player. Representing Legacy Esports, it is RunaMoK.
Can I confess something to you, Light?
Confess.
I thought I broke something when we loaded in and we got the countdown. I don't know, I can never, I don't know, I feel like it's gonna take me a while to get used to that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it is the first day, and I was laddering today, and it also took me. I'm still not used to it because it's even for ladder games as well. It's like, oh, okay, yeah.
I do appreciate that they seem to have sped it up though from what it previously was. If they were gonna implement the duration of the countdown that it was like previously, ladder sessions is gonna be a lot longer. Let me tell you.
Yeah. I honestly, I really wanted them to. I haven't tested if they did, or I didn't read if they did, but it'd be cool if they did that for when you unpause, in a custom game. Like that'd be pretty sick.
I feel like that'd be a much more useful implementation of that.
Yeah. Yeah, right? It feels kind of like, you know, kind of obvious a little bit. You know, we have it for resume from replay. Why don't we have it when we unpause in a custom game?
Well, it's because most players usually already 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, that's true, but like just because there's something that we do manually doesn't mean that we can't have it automatic, you know? Like it'd be pretty sick if it did it for us. Just saying, Blizzard. Just saying.
Just saying.
And as you were mentioning, what was said in the chat, you know, Vivid, he's a great guy. We rate him pretty often, and yeah, he also streams pretty often as well, and he has pretty unique rewards for his stream, for his channel points, I should say.
He does. He has a duck.
He does. He has a duck. That's every single time I redeem the duck. He has a bunch of beanies. For context, he doesn't actually have a duck. He has a bunch of beanies that he can wear if you know pay with channel points. Yeah.
And that is, if you're ever wondering how to retain regular viewers, Vivid has it on lockdown.
Exactly. It's definitely great to see. And yeah, like, I mean, he said himself that he's like focusing a lot more on streaming, and it's really helped him as a person, like come out of his shell. Like he's usually pretty like shy and stuff, but because of his stream, like he's been able to be a little bit more outspoken, a little bit like put himself more out there. And it's really cool to see him like develop over the course of this year, since it was really this year where his stream really kind of where he really focused on it.
Yeah. Really showed you. And at the start, he was doing nothing but video games, but nowadays he's expanding a little bit, showing off his more other artistic talents, whether it be Photoshop or piano.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Like he plays the piano. He does graphic, not necessarily graphic design, but like, you know, just creative, like Photoshop
digital
things
art.
On Photoshop. Digital, there it is, digital art. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool to see. He's a man of many talents.
And speaking of man of many talents,
yep.
Let's go for the Roach Warren. Immediately scanned.
Wow, scans the natural.
Man, with the 6th sense.
Jesus Christ. Just like that, he scans the natural. He's aware of the early Roach Warren. He hasn't seen the lair timing, but I don't think he needs to. Seeing that Roach Warren, and yeah, I mean, honestly, this makes sense, right? On a map like Everdream.
Yeah, if there was ever, I feel like this kind of build is something that you generally want to throw in every now and then in a series against Terran or ZvT, but yeah, you really utilizing the map here. Everdream is probably one of the better ones.
Yeah, definitely. And this thing run by, it's chipping away at the wall, and it may be able to
break through the deep. Not now. RunaMoK is supply blocked. He did already have a tank in production, so it's not going to be into the world for him. He will also be returning his Hellions, but yeah, that's supply blocked. It spooked me, to say the least. Like,
ooh, and interesting. He forced the Hellions back home, and as we see in the production tab, Vivid, he droned up heavily behind this. So I thought that he was going for like a big like Ling Roach, like almost all in, but no, he's droning up. He's getting set up for the later stages of the game. I
think that was the original plan, but once he saw that he wouldn't be able to really kill RunaMoK there with that initial Ling run by, or wouldn't be able to set himself up to kill RunaMoK immediately. Just gonna be backing off, you know, still trying to see what he can get done with these Lings and Roaches that he's made, but yeah, gonna be playing it more to a standard macro game, which for the time being he will have the advantage on.
Yeah, definitely. I really like how like flexible Vivid is being. You know, he may have started the game with a certain plan, and now he's adapting. He's changing how he's approaching the game. And yeah, we have double Evos being thrown down. We have a Bane that's being thrown down. So he is transitioning his composition to better deal with what RunaMoK is getting. But as you're pointing out, RunaMoK is actually playing by it.
Yeah, I do love... I feel like a lot of the Terran players from the sort of Oceanic region have sort of... they do kind of force themselves to alternate, and by alternate I mean, you know, be versatile, which is a pretty good thing to come around. And yeah, it's kind of weird to see. I can't really think of any player who does one better than the other. I think that usually their mech styles are pretty similar to their bio style, so yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think obviously the person that we look to the most in regards to the Terran players in this region that are really flexible with how they play is Azure, right?
Yeah,
and he does happen to be teammates with RunaMoK, so I don't know if they practice together often, or maybe RunaMoK he plays himself as, you know, or he looks at how Azure plays and tries to emulate that. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see him be versatile like this.
And versatile is really the name of the game right now. Probably isn't, but yeah,
we can make it the name of the game. We can make it. It's fine.
If you could, yeah, we'll find somehow. All right, so yeah, once again, RunaMoK just gonna be building up that army. Not too much gonna be happening for another minute or so. Vivid gonna be going into that Spire and that macro hatchery, so he's deciding to make use of that advantage that he had early on in the game, and we can see now he's almost 20 workers ahead. He's not gonna be getting more ahead, like which sometimes you do see from players. Instead, he's going to make use of that money. He's going to be making Mutalisk Ling Bane.
Yeah, and we'll see again. We've pointed this out before last week. RunaMoK has these crisp timings. 1-1 is about to finish alongside this push. And will Vivid have enough here to defend? It looks like Baneling Speed will finish up just in time. Will he have enough on the ground?
That is definitely going to be the question. I do love how RunaMoK is going to be utilizing these Hellbats left over from the Hellions earlier on. This is a pretty good position to siege up onto. And even with the creep, there's just not enough of a buffer right now for RunaMoK to make use of those Banelings. Trying to come from the back with to pick off a couple of exposed tanks, but RunaMoK already thinking ahead, leaving a couple of Marines there to protect them.
Ooh, and I love this. He disengages and he's trying to pick up his tanks as well. He does to try and escape as Vivid is trying to chase him down, but all the tanks are kind of exposed.
They are a little bit. They do manage to siege up. The bio did get a couple of Banelings connected on top of them, but most of them were able to split off, and here come the reinforcements.
Oh god, the reinforcements, they may be in a pretty rough... Yeah, they're in a choke point at the moment. It looks like Vivid may have enough here, but the choke point working so well in advantage of RunaMoK.
Very much so is. The roaches are starting to get thinned out, and once those get taken away, it's pretty much just going to be these melee units, these Zerglings, which you can really take advantage of the choke point from. We'll have to evacuate from this more open area, though.
Yeah, he does, and he does siege up, and Vivid is forced to back off. And yeah, that's the one thing you have to worry about as a Terran player, right? Like your rallies. Like if RunaMoK he hadn't been rallying across the map, then maybe he would have saved a little bit more here and wasn't forced to fight in the middle of the map like that. Yeah, we'll see how he does here. He has one tank with this main army, and against Ravagers, this is scary because he can just be biled down.
Yeah, absolutely can be. But against Ravagers, you know what isn't scary? A lot of Marines. They do tend to chew through the Ravagers if you let them.
Yeah, at the same time, it does look like we have a Ling run by to the third base of... Oh, sorry, it wasn't a Ling run by, it was a Bane run by, and so it did connect, did get 10 SCVs, really nicely done. But speaking of Banelings, like Vivid, he really needs them with his main army here, otherwise there's nothing really stopping RunaMoK. There we go, we do have a massive wave morphing in.
And this time they're going to have a lot of support behind them between the Ravagers and Mutas as well as the Zerglings. RunaMoK setting himself a little bit far behind here, which I don't really mind. You do want to play it out a bit more cautious, right? You do want to have a bit of an anchor point to retreat to if things start to get dicey. But it does mean that he's not able to really put pressure on his base, or as much pressure on his base as he'd like.
Yeah, it will take a lot longer for RunaMoK to apply that pressure. Meanwhile, Vivid, he just continues to go for these run-bys. A massive Ling run-by at the third base once again, actually catching some tanks as well.
Yeah, Vivid, he wanted to get this bunker up because he knew how dedicated Vivid was going to be to these run-bys, but unfortunately not going to be able to really get that in, really get that set up quite yet.
Yeah, and this is a lot. Like, it's hindering the economy of RunaMoK. It's killing the reinforcements as well, forcing this push from RunaMoK to continue to stay the same size as it is. And maybe he can get this fringe base, but now Vivid, like, he's been slowly getting a bigger army, and the tanks are exposed to the mutalisks.
Very much so. Bio will be able to ward them away, but the damage has already been done. I like this. Dropping a mule to get some quick repairs off.
Yeah, he really needs them. Like, the medevacs are so low. Same with the tank as well.
Yeah, RunaMoK really has kind of lost the sustainability of this push. And yeah, there we have it. Forced away the army supply, almost half of what Vivid's got. And not a lot of mines and not a lot of tanks with them. It is just medevac marine, and it's not really something that RunaMoK can fight this army with.
Yeah, there's no anchor point, there are no tanks, no Widowmines here with this army, so all the Marines are going to be going down, and as you were saying, RunaMoK, like, his economy is in shambles, like, he lost all of his high-tech units. Vivid, he didn't lose any drones, he didn't lose any hatcheries.
WW is called, and Vivid is going to be tying up our series sideways 1-1, bringing us that ace match.
And I love this. I haven't seen Vivid in so long, and I know he definitely has it in him to take it to a player like RunaMoK, so it's really sick to see him put a point on the board and take it all the way to the ace match.
Yeah, after that first game where it really looked like he was looking really shaky in that first game, but to come in game number 2, really start dictating how he wants to play this out, and even having some real quick and proper reactions to his opponent's moves.
Yeah, I love seeing a Zerg player being able to defend at home and at the same time just, you know, be confident enough to send supply across the map to counterattack, whether it was the Baneling run-bys or the massive Ling run-bys. Like, he was just able to do that and defend at home at the same time, and that's it's great to see.
Yeah, I think I know what it is. It's a case of whatchamacallit, where technically that's what you're supposed to do in theory, but in practice, you know, you don't really have a lot of the opportunity to do that as well as succeed. So to be able to successfully pull off your theory, it's just satisfying.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I'm really curious to see how this game is going to play out. We are going to be loading into Eternal Empire. And Yaku, what do you think? Do you think this is a mech map or a bio map?
I think this is a 4x proxy map.
I mean, that's true. We haven't seen him do it, and I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, we will have to... Either way, however this game goes, may or may not give us an indication of how the next game is going to go. Because ZvT is currently waiting in that round of 16? No, quarterfinals, round of 8. For the winner of this for the winner of this.
Ooh, and I would love to see either of these players face off against the big cat himself. But which one? We'll see.
Okay, I was ready this time. I did not get shooketh. And speaking of being ready, here comes the player who is probably ready. I mean, I didn't really ask him too much before the tournament started, but you know, it's safe to say that if they signed up, then they're probably feeling Du bis fertig, I think is how they call it down there. In the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of Eternal Empire, L-E-E-L-E-Ile. We have the Red Zerg coming down all the way from the land of Australia. And I think, funnily enough, Vivid may be the one Australian that we don't know which city they live in. I'm gonna say Tasmania, I could be wrong there. Representing OSC Elite, but currently teamless, we have Vivid. You just type it into Google while I said that.
What?
Or did you just type in where does Vivid live into Google?
I know where. Sporting the people. I know what you're on about.
I hear the typing.
Of Eternal Empire LE, we have the Australian Terran player representing Legacy Esports. It is RunaMoK.
And once again, the winner of this is going on to the round of 8 to face ZvT. And I mean, there are probably some players who would just do whatever, because that prospect is not exactly something they look forward to.
Yeah. I'm just really curious. I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out here. For both players. I mean, like, again, on Everdream, Vivid even it did seem like he was going for more of a Roach base, like all in to begin with. Then he transitioned out of it. So yeah, I don't know if he comes in with anything in mind here on game number 3. Regardless, I just hope he's wearing like a duck hoodie right now.
That'd be pretty cool. I wish he
Is
was
he
wearing
streaming
our duck hoodie. Available now? No, wait, we don't have that.
We don't have that. I was actually curious.
I'm just in the sellout mood tonight.
Hey, if we're gonna sell anything, it's gonna be Dare, okay? That's and I was just checking. Unfortunately, Vivid isn't streaming his POV. I was about to promote that if he was, but fortunately, he is not. You know, just playing it out as usual. So, yeah, we'll see how this plays out.
Well, it's playing out, but how is the question? Alright, well, the Lynx get in! The Lynx do not get in. Nice bit of lifting on that depot right at the last second. But the Lynx now will get in. Wow. Not gonna scout out too much, but will confirm that it's a 1-1-1. We'll see that there's no tech lab on that barracks. Oh no, actually there is.
Yeah, and he gets 3 SEV kills, gets a scat off, almost kills a Marine as well. A lot was done here with very little from Vivid. It was really surprising to see because they went for pretty standard openers, but he just sent his Lings across the map instead of having them at home to help deal with the Reaper. Just relying on his Queen defense instead. So yeah, it was really interesting how that played out. And now, like, he's aware of the opener. He should be preparing for it.
Yeah, he does know that it's bio now, judging by the Tech Lab count. It's not going to be an add-on switch or what have you. And yeah, I think this does go back to our Everdream game. Vivid seems to be a lot more comfortable in these reactive scenarios, right? So he really wanted to scout RunaMoK and really see what he was going for so he could prepare for it instead of preventing the scouting of RunaMoK.
Yeah, speaking of which, we have a very fast lair coming out from Vivid. Still only off of 1 gas, so I'm really curious to see what this lair is going to be for. We'll see how many more gases Vivid takes. It could be a little bit too early to say fast spire, but
it's going to be a nice hit. Oh no, he gets the other 2 gases.
Ooh, he does.
But
3
he's
gases
still only on 3. He's still only on 3. That's 1 less before you're really comfortable to get a spire.
Yeah, but again, like, he doesn't have any other tech, like, he doesn't have a Roach Warren, he doesn't have a Baneling Nest, so he could be just, you know, saving all of these resources for that fast spire. Oh, here we go, Baneling Nest is being thrown down, and the problem with the fast spire is I don't know how well that's going to work for Vivid, against this 1-1-1 fast stim opener.
I think he might just be looking to play Massling Bane.
Oh, he could be, as there is a Liberator in the natural of Vivid, being quite annoying, getting a couple of worker kills. Oh god, even the Queen!
Yeah, not the best placement there on top of that Queen. You have to be really careful when it comes to these sort of corners. You really don't want to be touching that Liberation Zone.
Yeah, definitely, and that's frustrating to deal with. As Vivid, you know, he's just continuing to drone up. It does seem like so far that fast lair was just for, I would assume, for bailing speed. Again, we'll see what he ends up. Yeah, or just overseers.
Oh no, this is Vivid. It's gonna be drop lords.
I knew you were gonna say that. That's something that, for right or wrong reasons, like, we've kind of associated that with Vivid. He's done that quite a number of times with lurkers as well, right?
Yeah, he did it with lurkers once in a late game scenario to try to draw the. I don't actually remember if he was playing a ZvZ or a ZvT, but just to draw his opponent back. Typically, when he does this, he does it with roaches, so you normally see a more normal sort of a more typical drop alert scenario is Banelings, right? You want to be bombarding onto your opponent's mineral line. Vivid, for whatever reason, prefers to go for the roaches, but he is actually eventually going to go into that spire, and by eventually, I mean right now.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit delayed, and I feel like a lot of that did come down to that Liberator harass and, you know, droning up and everything kind of being a little bit awry for Vivid there. So not as smooth as a transition as he would have liked, but regardless, he is still getting that Spire, working towards it. And he's been quite greedy, focusing on his droning and relying on his Queens for defense, and he's gotten away with it. You know, there was no like big buy push or anything like that, so he's been able to just drone up pretty freely, even getting more drones now. So he's just gonna boom in his army now that he's already getting close to 70 workers.
What was the basic Zerg style? Drone up to 80 drones or something and hope for the best?
And that's exactly what Vivid's doing. He's got 7 more on the way. He's just basically droned up to 80, relying on just Queens for defense, and now his economy is just going to be exactly where he wants it to be. Now he's going to be able to focus on nothing but that army.
And that's really where you want, especially on a map like Eternal Empire. Which really does sort of situate itself really well here. RunaMoK now pushing out, or I should say dropping out, with a bit of a double drop here. A bit surprised that he decided to go for this instead of that Marine tank push that he normally goes for, but yeah, maybe he's just trying to get some harassment done before the big push comes in.
Yeah, and I mean, the army for Vivid, it's already situated here. He already has Bailing Speed. The Ling Bane is ready for these Marines, so he should be relatively fine. Yeah, it does push the army away.
Yeah, he's definitely got to be careful, though. He does not want to overextend off creep into that many Marines.
Yeah, and I mean, he does also scout that there are Mutalisks out on the map, so he does know that it is Ling Bane Muta, no Hydras whatsoever, no skipping Spires to go straight into Hive or anything like that. The other thing, I guess, going for RunaMoK is that he's ahead in his upgrades. 1-1 was relatively late for Vivid, so 2-2 already starting for RunaMoK, and yeah, here we go. Now the push is finally going to come out.
I just feel like how you used the high ground earlier there.
Yeah.
I realized there were very few Mutas. And alright, as you were saying, the push is coming out, but the Mutalisks are trying to get some counter harass done while this is all going on. Does have to be careful. He does have a lot of them. Really has to respect the turrets. And has Vivid droned up just a bit too much? Has he been just a little bit too greedy? As this is looking like a scary Terran army from RunaMoK.
It's terrifying. This push is so... he's ahead in army supply by more than 40. Like, the push is here, the tanks are sieging up, and I don't... Yeah, Vivid, he gives it up. He has to.
There's no other way to do it, and unfortunately for Vivid, the way he expanded, this kind of means that he's going to lose 2 bases for the effectiveness of 1.
Yeah, that's the problem with Eternal Empire. You take out this southern base, and now RunaMoK can just siege up and just go on and just shell away at that lower base. I do like this Ling run by. You know, he's going to be stopping reinforcements. This is nice. But what about the push on the other side of the map?
Well, he's posturing back and forth, looking to see if there's an opening. He has to be so careful. He does not want to lose his banelings. Nice bit of kiting there coming up from RunaMoK, stemming at the very last second.
Yeah, and the problem is, like, there are barely any banelings at all. At the same time, like, a lot of SCVs are falling on the other side of the map. You know, RunaMoK, his economy is hurting, but nowhere near as much as this as he kills another base.
This is just base central. Or something like that. He's just getting base. This is an all-you-can-base buffet.
Oh, God.
No, all-you-can-eat base. Look. RunaMoK is pinning Vivid to the corner, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, he pushed out, he's killed 3 bases so far. Now the banelings are finally ready for Vivid, but he does get decent connections. The Mutalisks are going to clear up the tanks, but there are just so many...
Yeah, reinforcements are coming down
Marines on the ground.
And it's just too little too late here for Vivid. More and more, you could look at a mini-map right now, a massive ball of purple making its way southbound. I'm not sure how Vivid comes back from this, if he can.
Especially since just then the Baneling Nest was sniped, it was taken out, so no more Banelings going to be in production for Vivid, just Ling Muta, and that's not what you get, not what you want against this wave of Marines coming across the map.
Yeah, this is not looking possible for Vivid to come back from, but he's sticking in there. He's trying to make use of everything.
He's trying his best, like he has Lings, his Mutas is diving in, but...
Good game is going to be called. and RunaMoK is going to be taking out ZvT 2-1, going up to face another Zerg player in the form of Miomaika.
GG, well played. We were pointing it out, but ZvT, he was just a little bit too greedy. We saw him. He just droned up all the way to 80 drones, right? Just with queens for defense, and that meant that his army was just it wasn't non-existent. He had an army, but
yeah, I mean, we talk about RunaMoK having really crisp timings. If he waited just half a minute more or something like that, that would have been. I feel like ZvT would have had way too much for RunaMoK to deal with, but RunaMoK, he managed to hit just before ZvT really started ramping up those his army count, just as he finished up droning. You know, that little window between having enough to get an army and actually having that army.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't blame ZvT for how he played, because, like, as we were saying, it's Eternal Empire, you know, it's the largest map, and for the most part, he was getting away with it, right? Like, there was no early aggression whatsoever, so he was able to get 4 bases, you know, work on his 5th, drone up really nicely, but that was at the cost of his army. You know, he didn't really have much on the ground, he only had a handful of mutas as well. He just was not prepared whatsoever for the massive push out from RunaMoK.
Yeah, maybe in a couple more seconds he would have, but not right then.